Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Everlasting Spiral. Here we discuss our continuous journey of growth and evolvement through the zodiac wheel, as well as other spiritual avenues. I hope you enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Everlasting Spiral. My name is Taylor, and today we will be speaking with Mary Onna Bode. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Taylor. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Today we are going to be speaking, like I said, with Mary. She is a holistic healer, spiritual guide, Reiki master, breath practitioner, as well as a yoga and meditation teacher. So today we will be focusing on her breath therapy work. So if we just want to jump right in, my first question, Mary, is what is breath work and what role do you play, or in breath therapy, what role do you play in your therapy sessions?
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for having me. Very much. I'm excited to be here. Breath therapy and breath work can actually be interchangeable words. So I understand, where that comes from. Breath therapy is really focused on helping someone get to a very deep understanding of something they may be going through. Maybe there's a blockage in their life, something that they want to work on, and not necessarily anyone who has an issue, but just an embetterment of your life. So breath therapy is really good for everyone on some level. My place in it and my role in it is to really assess where someone is, what their needs are, what kind of therapy or what kind of breath would best suit them and best benefit them, because there's lots of different types of breath. Breath therapy classically is done with an intention and a certain type of breath, a couple of different types of breath. I usually also mix in hypnotherapy. I don't know if that was in my bio or not, but I am a certified hypnotist. So bring in some hypnotherapy along with some other practices. Some of my healing works and other modalities all come into play with breath therapy. People are generally lying down and comfortable, and we take you as deeply as you're willing to and desiring to go. And like with hypnosis, you're not going to do anything or go anywhere that you wouldn't do if you were in a fully conscious state. So some people get weirded out about hypnosis.
Well, and yeah, because of all the things they've seen on movies and shows, but really it just allows you to really get into that subconscious and see what's in there, feel what's in there. And so would you say breath therapy is for people looking to maybe uncover something or to release, or both?
Definitely, or move forward in their life in some way. If the people I've worked with, have done everything from having a physical ailment that they just can't seem to process through or find out what is happening. If they think there's an emotional component to that physical ailment, breath therapy is excellent. People who have a hard time taking a deep breath or have anxiousness, stress, people who have anxiety on a regular basis, breath therapy is excellent. Physical ailments like high blood pressure, IBS, stomach issues with headaches. Those are the kind of things that just being able to learn how to take a deep breath. Yeah. And that's where the different types of breath come in to breath therapy, because we may start off with deep breaths just to get your belly, nice and full and breathing in your chest open. And my role in that is really to see, like I said, where you're at, where the person is, how they're breathing naturally. There's something called reverse breathing, which is very common for people who are stressed or have held on to emotions. When you think about, one of the examples I love to give is that when we have, going through our life and something happens, it's a shock, either an actual shock or an emotional shock or something that hurts, and we go, right? Oh. And that act of, we're constricting our lungs. And to a certain degree, that emotion, whatever emotion happened at that time, whatever event took place at that time, gets a little stuck in the tissue, right?
I can feel that.
Yeah, right. So even though you're still continuing to breathe, which breath is this amazing component and structure in our life, in our human life, in our abilities as human. It's the only system in our body that works automatically. We don't have to think about breathing, it happens anyway. Or we can consciously take a breath in any way we choose. We can hold it, we can make it long, we can make it short, we can pant, we can choose how we breathe. It's the only system in our body that does that.
That's powerful.
So, right? Exactly. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. And it also holds on to our emotions. So going back to that, right? So we're still able to breathe. You know, naturally our system, our nervous system has us breathe, but we don't breathe as deeply, or we hold that emotion in because it hasn't had a chance to let go.
Wow.
And sometimes that comes, yeah,
Like
sometimes that comes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
almost like an imprint.
Yes,
Yeah.
very great word. Perfect, Taylor. It is an imprint. And so, you know, that could come out in screaming. Sometimes it comes out in screaming, or it can come out in tears, or it can come out in joy or laughter. I've had people laugh me when I've had breath therapy myself, you know, just end up giggling on the table.
Oh,
And from some, yeah, all kinds of things, right? You know, because, you know, something that was joyous, but wasn't able to express it at the time. You know, there's a lot of things that happen in our human life. Yeah.
Well, and there's a cool thing too, is, you know, people think therapy with trauma or suffering or, you know, having to work through something, and if anything, like you just said, it could be a joyous occasion, and it could be something to reflect on and remember and be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was that happy in that moment, and then you almost get to like redo it. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
you
I never
do.
even thought about that point. Yeah, with therapy I automatically think, you know, working through something tough, but I like that aspect of the joy part of it. That is so cool. Okay, so it can leave an imprint. And so when somebody comes to you, like I did have a breathwork session with you months ago, and in our session, we started out with like a consultation where you actually spoke with me. You asked me what I had been going through. I think you asked me like how I felt about my own breathing, and I know I've always had short breaths, like I'm trying to breathe quietly. And I would, you know, breathe more with my chest than my stomach. And I tend to also hold my breath, and I'll notice it usually when I'm focusing, but also when I'm anxious or just pretty much any time. Sometimes I just stop breathing completely. So we went over that, and my experience was wonderful. Mine was related to letting go of a memory that came up that we didn't even plan on. My intention that we set was completely different than what came up once we got through the breath. And I think you asked me about the intention, and I just kind of said something else, and you said, okay, well, let's just go with that because it's something that needs to be released. And my experience was way back in 2006, and it was something that I thought I had let go of through other forms of therapy, whether it be meditation by myself or cognitive therapy or, you know, loving kindness meditations, forgiveness meditations. I thought it was gone. And so I thought that was pretty interesting that it came up, and it was such a powerful experience for me because it just showed me that there's always more room for growth, and, you know, to release a little bit more just felt so wonderful, especially something from over a decade ago. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so thank you for that. I just wanted to share my little experience there.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. And things let go like onion layers. You know, in my view, they let go in like onion layers. So, you know, the big part of it might let go and it feels like a big release, like thank God I was able to let go of that. And then a few years later, something triggers and it's another onion layer. And the deeper we go, which I think Taylor, you know, if I remember your session a little bit, it was, you know, it was a deeper part of that. You know, it was a real core piece of what had happened. So you were able to release that core piece. And then even still, when we release things, the thing, a lot of the times I think we think with therapy that it's supposed to be some magical one and done, you know, or, you know, I already handled that. I don't need to do it anymore. You know, people get like, I already did that. I already cried over that. I don't want to do that again. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, but it's onion layers. And it actually, I think the more we look at something and the more we're able to release, the more free we get, the more freedom we can experience. That brings tears to my eyes, you know, the
Yeah.
opportunity for freedom for us all, right?
Yes. And,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
go
Well, even when there's a, like you talked about, an imprint. So, you have a trauma, there's an imprint, and your stuff could all be gone. Like you've released it, let it go. You feel that freedom, and something may just come into your field and give you that, and just kind of niche at that imprint. And now you're like, oh, I just got triggered on something. Okay. But now usually you have the ability now to be able to go, I just got triggered. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to do a little breath work. I'm going to take care of myself, close my eyes, center, and realize that that's not me and that's not happening. And I live in gratitude and loving kindness and forgiveness, and onward and back to the freedom of who I am.
wow.
My cat just knocked, my
No,
cat just got on my,
I love
my
it.
cat, my cat just jumped on my desk and moved the computer.
Feeling the energy. It's like, I want some of that freedom that you're talking about right now.
No
Let me have
kidding.
some of those vibes.
Yeah,
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 the choice of breath is it's such a wonderful way to center yourself, and not just with words, but in a physical way that is so grounding and so amazing. I remember when I first really intentionally started doing guided meditations and working on my breathing, and I was just in awe about how not present I had been for so long before. And it was such a wonderful experience to be able to look around at normal things and think like, wow, how long
yeah.
have I been here? And the level of appreciation and gratitude, like you said, it's so much easier to live in gratitude when you're actually here.
Here
And
now.
mhm.
Yes, very wonderful. That's the other thing, is that, we can let go. Like you said, you had cognitive therapy, and a lot of people, hopefully, I think it's getting more open to people to have therapy of any type, cognitive therapy, breath therapy, that we're actually have somebody to speak with. Years ago, I had a teacher that I really took this on. He said, I work with my physical, my emotional, and my mental. So for me, no, my physical, my spiritual, and my emotional. That's what he said. Physical, spiritual, emotional. And he said, so for my physical, I work out. For my emotional, I see a therapist. For my spiritual, I meditate.
Wonderful.
So that's how he took care of himself on 3 different levels. So I thought, how beautiful,
Yeah.
that we're getting, hopefully in our society, we're having or seeking therapy, counsel of some sort, someone to talk with that's non-judgmental, has nothing vested interest, that's becoming more a norm. And that with cognitive therapy, you can talk it out, but you don't really get it through your body. Your body doesn't get to let it go. And with breath therapy and the types of therapies I do, it is very physically, emotionally, and is spiritually based. All those 3, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, all come together with the kind of work I do, especially with breath. When you think about breath, one more thing about breath is that, we can live weeks without food. Our human body, our human existence, this precious human life that we've been given, we can go weeks without food and still exist. We can go days, quite a long time, without water, but only minutes without breath. So breath, actually, prana, actually means spirit. So you brought it in, you said spirit.
Wow.
To bring in the spirit is our breath. Our breath is our spirit. It is our life. Without breath, we cease to exist. So for me, my breath is my connection to God, is my connection to spirit, is how I connect, how I choose to connect today is through my breath. Am I going to be shallow and scared, or am I going to be open and deep? Am I going to allow, right? Or am I going to be constricted, right? Yeah.
Seeing me, like, I'm getting all emotional because it's such a freeing experience, and it's such a wonderful type of therapy. And like you said, I love that it combines all of those things, because I felt safe, I felt seen, I felt um safe. A lot of things with therapy, some people don't want to see a cognitive therapist because they don't feel safe sharing their thoughts, or maybe they're nervous to tap into their spiritual side if they're not used to it yet. But I just, in your entire environment, you yourself, just, I felt so safe and seen and understood. And I think that really helped me. I think that's why that experience came out during that session, because I just was so allowing.
Great.
in your presence, and it was just so wonderful. And yeah, so, and that's actually what I was going to touch on next, is where it can be done, because where I came over to your place of business, and you sat me down at the table and we did our consultation, and then you had this wonderful like platform that I got to lay on, and I had awesome pillows and blankets. Can you kind of touch on that part of the session?
Absolutely. So I love to do one-on-one therapies with people. That's probably my favorite. And then I also do some group work. So I do some group trainings, and those can be done live or on Zoom. Actually, breath therapy itself can also be done on Zoom. I've done a lot of that. That started during the pandemic and the necessity to have people getting Zoom breath therapy. And that works very, very well. I like to see people in person better if I can, but working through Zoom also, the energy does transfer, that level of safety, that space. I have some recommendations when people do work with me on Zoom, that they are in a safe and private place, that there isn't anyone that's going to be interrupting, or that they're going to feel even the energy of wherever they are is an energy of safety and an opportunity for them to be completely relaxed. Um, and to make sure that with the Zoom calls, I always make sure they follow up with me so I know how they're doing. Yeah, because if they're not here and local in town and I can't touch or be with you, then I want to make sure that you are in a good, safe place, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so cool that you can
fun.
do that over Zoom. I think that's so, again, powerful. And especially in the time that you started that. I mean, how wonderful. That was a blessing in disguise for that instance.
It was, yeah.
For
Yeah,
me.
and I do all kinds of breath teachings with people, because I teach breath on many different levels. I do the Wim Hof breath therapy, I do Qigong breaths, and I do something called 1111 activation breath, which is really a process of doing a type of warrior breath or power breath, and then bringing that into the body in a way that it really brings you into an altered state. So you're doing 11 of these types of breath, and you can do that over and over again. But the idea is to do at least 11 of the 11
Yeah.
to give you that activation where you really get very, you really opens up your pineal gland and opens you up into an altered state. So
And
yeah.
I experienced the 11/11 breath. Well, one of them, because you did it on Instagram Live, and I remember just saying like, "Wow, that was one of my favorite ones," because I did get lightheaded, and I did feel, and again, it brought me so into the present. It was so intense, and I remember like saving it, and then I think I even texted you like weeks later saying, "What was that breath the breath that you did again on Instagram?"
Yeah.
Because yeah, and now again, I'm so excited to try that out again. So you do classes on Zoom,
Yes.
and can that be found like on your website, or how do you
I
join the
I
class?
actually I need to get back on a schedule. Honestly, I haven't done much because of the pandemic, and I'm just now starting to put feelers out to get back out there and teach some classes in my local community, and also in where I have my practice. I have a teaching space, so I can have well, we've had as much as 28 people there,
Wow,
so we can have a quite large class there. Yeah. Yeah.
that is so exciting. I would
Yeah.
definitely love to attend. That would be
Well,
amazing.
thank you. And Taylor, that makes it, you're enticing me to yes, I need to get these things on the book. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
will rile up a bunch of people, and we'll all come celebrate and do like a reopening of your
Oh,
space.
yes. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
Yes, that would be wonderful. So, so you do in person, obviously, like you just said, or on Zoom as possible, and you're starting up your classes again.
I can also go to you. So I've done classes at yoga studios, and I have done classes in businesses where I teach meditation or teach breath work. And actually, breath work is so powerful for people who are behind a desk all day.
Okay,
It's
so
wonderful to
so
learn how to breathe. Yeah.
breath work is more so you learn the types of breathing to use on a daily basis rather than
Hmm.
something deep and subconscious. Like breath work is
Yes.
more. commonly used. So what's something that you would teach for a daily practice? Just how to breathe with your belly, pretty much?
Well, and different types of breath. So that goes back to kind of like that 11-11 breath is more like a daily practice. There's some other daily practice breathing to bring you into your own cognitive, your space, your awareness, your centeredness, right? You're grounded to ground you. So there's breaths to ground. There's breaths to activate, to give you focus. Like, I tell people that before they go into a meeting, there's a certain type of breath you want to go into. If you're starting to feel anxious, you want this type of breath. So counseling people on where they are and during the day, how to focus their life through their breath. How are you breathing? Wow. Now, what do you want now for the next half hour? Okay, let's get you breathing that way. Right? Instead of grabbing for the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock coffee where people are starting to get that low, let's do this breath, to get you going.
And that's what I need every day at 2 o'clock. And I know it is because I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning every day. And I'm very much like on a routine when it comes to food and drink and stuff like that. And I have noticed that around 2 o'clock, almost every day, I feel tired and drained. I also don't sit down often, so that probably doesn't help. But I would much rather do, and I love that you can tailor it to what's your next action going to be? What's the next type of breath I should be taking? That is so cool. It's like preparation.
Absolutely.
I love it. Just like step forward in your best self. That's awesome. So the benefit would be to basically take control of your life again. Like, what would you say? A lot of the benefits.
Yeah, to take control of your psyche, to take control of where you're at, your intention. Setting intention is always, when we do a breath therapy session, we always set an intention first. So if you set an intention, I know that you're familiar with this work because I've seen you play around with it, but it's, setting an intention for the day. How is it you want your day to go? And actually working with that intention all day. Or when we do a breath therapy session, we set an intention for the breath therapy session. And then at the end of the session, we bring in an affirmation, and that affirmation you take with you. So I have a lot of my clients, I know myself when I've done breath therapy ongoingly for my own work, I make a book, or I made a poster of all my affirmations that I did within a 30-day period, so that I could look at them and read them every morning and bring that into my awareness. So your intention has everything to do with how your life unfolds. It's the primary reason why our life unfolds the way it does, is our intention behind that day. So when you have an intention, you can actually have intentionality through your breath. Yeah. So speaking of intention, have you ever had the opportunity to go into an event? And also I'll share an experience. So I remember going to a concert. I hope this doesn't come off too weird. I was at a concert years ago. I was at a concert years and years ago, and I was there. It was before I ever got involved in any of my therapy and the trainings and things I've done. I was just a young woman. And I remember being at this concert. I was with friends, and I thought, wow, I was kind of looking around. I'm like, nobody's really having a good time. Like I look around, I'm like, nobody's really having a good time. I wonder what's up with the people here. Why are they not having a good time? And then I thought, well, I'm going to have a good time. So I made up my mind. I was going to have an intention. I was going to have a good time. So I started to have a good time. And sure enough, as I looked around, everybody else seemed to be having a good time too. Now, did that actually change? What happened there? But it was definitely in my intention of that evening. So there was something that hit me, even at that young age, like, whoa, so of course, with my egotistical mind at the time, did I just change the vibe in the whole room? Right?
Yeah, you totally do have that magnitude of personality. I mean, I definitely don't doubt that. And yeah, like you said, did you change the vibe of the room, or was it your perspective? Or either way, something shifted. Wow.
Yeah. Power of intention. So,
yeah, we create our reality, and such a powerful way of doing that. Yeah, make that intention and then follow up. Don't just jump forward and hope for the best. Like, go forward with a plan, and the plan is to control your breath and use it. Yep. That's so amazing. So where can people find you if they're looking to work with you? Would it be Facebook, Instagram?
I am on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and my website. So MaryOnnaBode.com, and that's spelled ONNA. A lot of people like to spell it with one A or one N. It's ONNA, Bode. And that's how you can find me on Facebook. And I also have a couple of other pages. My business page is called Soul Harmony Therapies. And then I have something called Dragonfly Dojo, which is something new, and I'm really kind of playing with that. But the idea is Dragonfly in Native American teachings is understanding that life is a dream, like breaking the illusion of the dream is Dragonfly. So that we, like that experience of being a young woman, that was kind of dreamlike. I kind of created this matrix of everybody having a good time, right? So that's breaking the illusion that everything is real, but we're actually in this dream state or this intentionality state. And then dojo means place of learning. So I'm going forward with something I'm calling Dragonfly Dojo. So that's also on Facebook.
That is so cool. We might have to do a whole nother talk on Dragonfly Dojo when you have it going. That would be amazing. I'm so excited. We have so much to talk about. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I do hope you will come on again. I think we have more to talk about, but breath therapy was amazing for me. I highly recommend it. Go find Mary. I'll put all of her all of her information in the description box, wherever this may be. And Mary, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on today. And did you want to add anything else?
No, thank you, Taylor. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of your bright, beautiful way. I'm honored to be a part of all you got going on. So thank you for having me. Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, honey.